I bragged I could get the cute guy at the next table's contact info. Never thought that when I scanned his code, I'd find out he was a friend I hadn't spoken to in 7 years. He'd even sent birthday wishes every year. And when I lost a game, he was the one who slid me his QR code. But when I guiltily locked my screen and pretended we just added each other for the first time, I found he'd already left an umbrella for me at the front desk while I waited out the rain. The ER lights now glared off the bandage wrapped around his arm. And my ex, the one who'd come after us with a knife, was staring through the glass at our intertwined hands. I lost the game. As punishment, I had to get the hot guy at the next table's contact. I scanned his code and realized he was already on my friends list. Every holiday, every birthday, there were his greetings. 7 straight years. Can I get your contact? The second I said it, their table went quiet. I pressed my lips into a small smile and shook the phone in my hand. Lost a bet. You get it. Everyone else looked away politely. Only the designated hottie never lifted his head. My friends behind me were watching like hawks. I had no choice but to ask again. Is that okay? That's when he finally looked up and fixed his eyes on me. The look carried weight, like a lion that hadn't eaten in days, finally locking onto prey, eyes almost glowing. It threw me. He looked every inch, the refined, well-mannered type. Even the way he clinked glasses was gentle. Afraid of getting turned down, I softened my voice. Help me out here, please. I rarely play cutesy, but it almost never fails. Sure enough, he nodded, voice a little hoarse. Okay. He pulled out his phone, opened his profile QR, and like he was making some huge decision, slowly angled the screen toward me. I scanned it, and my phone didn't pull up an add friend page. I could message him straight away. We were already friends. I shot him a suspicious look, half believing, half doubting, and tapped into the chat. The screen filled with white bubbles. Everyone from him. Happy birthday. Happy mid-autumn. Have a peaceful dragon boat festival. I kept scrolling. Every holiday and every birthday, there he was. The chat stopped at 2015. Up top was a bold line. You added Jason. You can start chatting now. My lungs tightened for no reason. This guy, my friend's so-called perfect blend of pure and seductive, had been my friend since sophomore year of high school. I looked up. He was looking too. Something shy and stubborn both in his eyes. And suddenly I got it. He liked me. My bestie slung an arm around my shoulders from behind, buzzing with gossip. What took you so long? Did you get it or not? I locked my screen, kept my face calm. Got it. She dragged me off, happy as a clam. I glanced back at the guy. He'd already dropped his gaze like nothing had happened. I lifted my phone and called out, "Thanks." When the party broke up, a light rain had started. I sat on the lobby sofa waiting for a ride and watched the guys from the next table barrel out. They were loud, turning the quiet lobby into a sudden circus. Someone spotted me, elbowed the guy, and jerked his chin my way. He didn't look, just went to the desk to pay. After he paid, he asked the front desk for an umbrella and strolled over. Here. He set it on the coffee table in front of me. I'm waiting for my boyfriend. He froze a beat, still left the umbrella, then straightened. Doesn't conflict. He started to leave. What's your name? I asked. Jason, he said. I knew that name. More than once. The school legend for 3 years running. Welded to first place. Teacher's favorite, the smart kid's idol. But I barely remembered that face on the honor roll looking like this. I texted my bestie for help. She fired back a high school photo of Jason. I studied it. The features matched, but the vibe was totally different. Back then, he'd had the classic nerd look. Eyes a little vacant, total bookworm. Now the awkwardness was gone and he was stupidly handsome. Thin rim glasses adding a cool, buttoned-up edge. Everything he did breathed quiet heat. No wonder our whole table clocked him the second he sat down. I marveled at the glow-up, checked my phone, and saw 20 minutes had passed. My boyfriend still MIA. I got up to wait by the door. Instead of my boyfriend, I caught sight of Jason under a nearby tree. Still there. Alone. His friends must have left. He saw me and edged behind the trunk, as if he didn't want to be seen. I got it in a snap. He was waiting for me. I tightened my grip on the umbrella and walked over. Waiting to get the umbrella back? He stumbled over the word. No. Then why not head out now that the rain stopped? Silence. I went straight for it. You like me. Why not say it? From the chat, it had been a while. He tipped his meaning in just 4 words. You have a boyfriend. I always do, he added. I didn't buy it. Plenty of guys confess even knowing I'm taken. He went quiet again. A supercar skimmed past behind me, and he yanked me into his arms with a panicked, "Careful!" His chest was heaving, like he'd been spooked. Pinned there, I could only stare forward. The supercar stopped at the club entrance. In the front seats, two people were still kissing like they'd forgotten the world. After a long beat, the passenger door swung open, and a long-legged man stepped out. My boyfriend, or ex, as of now. He pulled out his phone and called. My screen lit in my hand. I answered. His voice oozed indulgence. "Baby, I'm here. Where are you? Go back to the car and keep kissing. Great view." He froze, phone in hand, eyes scanning left and right. I hung up. When I looked up at Jason again, the corners of his mouth were taut, like he wanted to smile, but didn't dare. "No boyfriend now," I said. He sobered. "Then can I chase you?" he asked. For someone who said he'd chase me, he sure went radio silent for days. My bestie pinged me daily for updates. At last she huffed. "Are all geniuses this buttoned up?" "Not necessarily," I said. "The last genius I dated knew exactly what he was doing." She snorted. "Listen to you. You sound like a heartbreaker." I rolled over on the bed, lazy and pleased. "Didn't you say with this face I'm built for dating?" She perked up. "So our high school legends got a shot?" "Depends on his moves. But what's with Larry?" she went on. "I did not see him cheating coming. Back when he chased you, you told him to drop dead and he didn't even blink. Just thinking about it makes me laugh." I laughed for a long while before answering. "He said he's got a sugar mama paying him to take care of me." My bestie burst out laughing too. "And the sugar mama's cool with that?" "No idea, but I'm not." We chatted a bit more, and right before hanging up she warned, "You'd better watch out for Larry. He's not the type to let things go." "Got it," I said. Larry was definitely trouble. But hey, I wasn't the one making out with someone else in a car, so what was there to be afraid of? The next day, I went to work as usual. Just before clocking out, I got a message from Jason, the first in days. "Can I take you to dinner tonight?" Just that one line, and somehow it thrilled me, like I'd been waiting for him to text. Even though, honestly, I hadn't felt that strongly about him at first. I started to suspect this was all part of Jason's game. If he were just another guy chasing me, like all the rest, I probably wouldn't have thought twice. But this holding back, neither near nor far, kept me hooked. And after that painfully awkward reunion, I was weirdly looking forward to seeing him again. I shot back a quick reply. "Sure." His message came right after. "I'm downstairs at your office. Call me whenever you're ready." My brows lifted. Did I ever tell you where I work? No reply again. I couldn't help laughing. Every time I asked something key, he went radio silent. World-class ghoster. Finally, it was time to leave. I slung my bag over my shoulder and went downstairs. Jason was waiting by a sleek black Volkswagen Phaeton. White shirt, black slacks, that refined face, quiet confidence wrapped in grace. Like the car itself. Understated luxury. He opened the door for me, asking politely, "What would you like for dinner?" I eyed him with a grin. "Come on, you knew where I worked. Don't tell me you didn't find out what I like to eat." He froze a second, then chuckled and admitted, "I did. How about the Grand Hyatt? I've already got us a table." I nodded. As we drove, Jason explained. "A project I was wrapping up hit a snag. I've been tied up the last few days." "Oh," I said. "I thought you were doing it on purpose." "On purpose how?" "Keeping me hanging." He gave me a serious look. I wouldn't. At the Grand Hyatt, the waiter led us smoothly to a window table. We just sat down when a familiar voice rang out behind me, full of surprise. "Isabel, it really is you." I looked up. It was my overachiever, X. His face lit up. "Knew I'd run into you here. You always loved their private menu, especially that pine resin tofu. You could eat it forever." He kept rambling, and I could only sit there awkwardly, especially with Jason right beside me. Then my ex finally noticed him, his face shifting slightly as he turned to ask, "Your boyfriend?" "No," I said flatly. For some reason, he got all chummy, slinging an arm around Jason's shoulder with a knowing tone. "Bro, trust me. Cut your losses. Look at me. 2 years since the breakup and I'm still not over her. This woman's trouble. The sooner you bail, the better." Jason brushed his hand off, calmly lifted his gaze, and said, Your friend's still waiting for you. My ex glanced back, muttered a few polite words, and left. The air froze over. I glanced at Jason's face, testing the waters. Maybe you really should cut your losses. Jason was wiping his hand with a napkin, the same one my ex had touched. He looked up, steady as ever, and said, "It's been 7 years. How exactly am I supposed to stop now?" The air eased after that. Jason didn't talk much, but every word was measured, poised, never overstepping, never awkward. I figured his EQ must be pretty high. From what he did say, I pieced together a picture of an impressive man. Top university grad, co-founded an AI startup with a senior, already doing well. They just landed a huge deal. "You came to find me the night we celebrated," he said. My mind flashed back to that evening. "When I came to add your contact," I asked curiously, "what were you thinking?" Silence again. Playing dead, but this time I wasn't letting it slide. "Were you nervous?" "I was thinking," he said finally, voice low. "You really don't remember me." I hadn't done anything wrong, yet somehow I felt guilty as hell. I rushed to explain. "You've changed a lot. The Jason I remember from high school didn't look like this. So My explanation only darkened his face. I hurried to add, "But once you said your name, I remembered. You were amazing. I never forgot that. And, you're really handsome now." He smiled faintly. "I know. I'm not blaming you. I only blame myself for not being able to attract you." His eyes lifted lightly, voice slow. In that moment our gazes met, and my heart skipped hard. I took back everything I'd said about him being clueless. Tonight he was smoother than my ex ever was. After dinner, Jason drove me home. Just as we reached my complex gate, he suddenly stopped the car. "What's wrong?" I asked. He pointed at a tall figure not far away. "That your ex?" I looked, and sure enough, Larry, half hidden behind a tree, his profile flickered under the streetlight, the rest swallowed by night. "Yeah," I said. Jason kept staring. I was about to ask why when he said, "What's that in his hand?" I squinted but couldn't make it out clearly. Still, I could guess. Probably a knife. He's got this habit, likes flipping blades when he's bored. Jason stared at me, stunned. I realized he misunderstood and quickly clarified. "Not like that. It's a trick knife, a butterfly knife. He just spins it. Doesn't matter what kind. It can still hurt someone," Jason said. "He wouldn't actually." I started, but my bestie's warning echoed in my head, and I couldn't finish. "I looked into your ex," Jason said evenly. "He's got a record. Violent assault. Police file and everything. It was over a jealousy fight, I wanted to say. But then I realized, right now, with me and Jason together, what better setup for another jealous rage? Unless..." His voice suddenly went dry. "You want to get out and talk to him." When I didn't answer, he added, "I'll come with you. You think you can take him?" "No idea," he said. "But I can protect you." That line made getting out of the car feel like the dumbest crime imaginable. As I hesitated, my phone rang. Caller ID. Larry. I looked up. He'd stepped out of the shadows. Larry held his phone in one hand, eyes locked on our car. In the other, he twirled the blade lazily, the sharp tip flashing past his fingers. Dazzling, dangerous, and terrifying. With that cold, expressionless face of his, he looked even more intimidating. The fear hit me late, and I stammered, "What do we do now?" Jason hesitated for only a second, then slammed his foot on the gas. "We're going to my place," he said, crisp and decisive. It was already 10 when we arrived. In the elevator, my bestie texted me, "Larry's been calling me non-stop. Are you okay?" Larry had been blowing up my phone the whole ride. I'd gotten so annoyed I blocked him, not realizing he'd start calling my bestie instead. I told her I was fine and briefly explained what had happened, telling her to block him too. Her messages started pouring in, one after another. The constant dinging drew Jason's eyes more than once. My bestie was clearly still furious, so I kept texting her back, barely paying attention to Jason. Not until we walked into his apartment did he hand me a pen and paper. "You'll probably stay the night," he said. "Write down what you need. I'll go buy it." I was still focused on my phone and muttered, "It's fine. I'll just make do." "Make do with everything?" he countered, glancing at my screen, his voice tight as a wire. "You talk this much with your ex?" "Huh." I blinked. lifting the phone. That's my best friend. He rubbed the bridge of his nose, looked a bit embarrassed. Sorry. It's fine. I put my phone away, wrote down the things I needed, and handed the note to him. Thank you, I said sincerely. Jason took it sheepishly and was about to leave when my bestie called me on video. Jason froze, clearly curious, but hesitant to look. I opened my mouth to explain, but he didn't say a word, just turned and walked out. When I answered, my bestie let out a long sigh. You scared me half to death. You didn't text for so long. I thought Larry had. Where are you right now? Her eyes darted all over the background on screen. Jason's place, I said slowly. She went silent, then screamed. After cheering like she'd won the lottery, she dove straight into gossip about me and Jason, saying with him there to protect me, she could finally relax. I couldn't argue. She was acting like a rabid fangirl, shipping a couple, deaf to whatever the actual people said. Still half under her spell, I felt awkward when Jason came back in. He handed me a paper bag, brief as ever. Some shops were closed, so I got substitutes. That's fine. He ran my bath, gave me slippers, hosted me like the perfect gentleman. When I came out, he'd even made the guest bed. On the nightstand were 2 books I'd once posted about on my social media. His thoughtfulness was flawless. Thank you, I said earnestly. You know I have ulterior motives, he replied. With honesty like that, I didn't know what else to say. While Jason showered, I watched a campus romance on TV. Genius boy, clumsy girl, the kind of thing that draws you in. But my mind kept circling back to Jason. The heroine chased the hero. He rejected her, saying school came first. I thought, maybe dating Jason wouldn't be so bad. I was just thinking that when my phone rang, an unknown number, I picked up. Larry again. My patience snapped. What do you want? Who's that guy? None of your business. Baby, just give me another chance. I'll do whatever you say. His voice was desperate, pleading. I just want to give you a better life. I had no words. I really love you. No one will ever love you more. I turned my head away in silence, only to see Jason had already finished his shower and was sitting beside me. He wore simple loungewear, hair still damp, peeling an orange. He peeled with care, fingers slow and precise, removing not just the rind but even the white pith clinging to each slice. It should have been a gentle scene, but somehow it felt dangerous. Out of nowhere, I thought of that night at the bar, those wild, beast-like eyes. By the time I came to, I'd already hung up. Jason offered me the peeled orange and asked softly, Your ex? I nodded. He didn't say anything this time, just gave a faint smile. Why did you pick him? He was handsome, and he loved me. That's it? I nodded. Sometimes I just need a boyfriend to keep other guys off me. Jason was quiet for a long time. When I popped the last slice into my mouth, he finally spoke again. Can I try? Help you keep other guys away sometimes, he said, then smiled wryly. Even if I'm not really your boyfriend. So that's how you two got together? My bestie asked, shocked. I'm not even sure if that counts as together. How can you not know if you're dating or not? I admitted it sounded ridiculous, but said, it's just, he's strange. He doesn't check my phone, doesn't ask who I'm with. I added, sometimes I get random love texts. He sees them but doesn't react. Not even jealous? She asked. I nodded. And when we eat out and run into his colleagues, he doesn't even introduce me as his girlfriend. Maybe he's just shy, my bestie guessed. Not that shy, I said after thinking. It's been half a month since that night, and he hasn't even held my hand. You're kidding me, she yelped. But he's so good to you, always there when you need him. Totally devoted. What is that supposed to be? She muttered. Did he really turn himself into some kind of anti-flirting bodyguard? I couldn't even argue with that. Maybe he just doesn't know how to date? She went on. Come on. Anyone who sends holiday greetings for 7 years straight doesn't exactly scream relationship pro. I'm starting to wonder if he even likes me. Of course he does, she said confidently. 7 years. Who else would do that? 7 years. Who could keep that up? I murmured. My bestie asked, did he ever say why he likes you? My face, probably, I said with a laugh. All my exes liked me for my looks. She suddenly went quiet, thoughtful. What's wrong? I asked. You know, Thinking about all your exes. I'm starting to think maybe you're the problem. Huh? Her eyes lit up. You've complained a million times. Boyfriends checking your phone, calling nonstop, getting jealous, marking their territory every minute. You hated when they got handsy too, she said. So how come with the genius? He does none of that, and you're still unhappy. It just feels weird, I argued. So if he did all that stuff, would you still hate it? I thought for a moment. Maybe not. My bestie read everything from my expression and said decisively, then that's settled. Since the genius doesn't know how, we'll teach him. Teach him how to date? That sounds so weird. She tested. If he's that clueless and boring, why don't we just dump him like before? I thought for a moment. I'll teach him, I said. It was like someone handing me a pillow when I was nodding off. We were just brainstorming how to teach Jason about dating when a new message popped up on my phone. A dinner invitation from a client, and right above that was another message. I really like you. Will you be my girlfriend? My bestie said immediately. Screenshot it and send it to the genius. I gave her an approving look. You're quite the strategist. Once the picture was sent, we waited, breath held, for Jason's reply. He texted back 3 words. What's wrong? Take it back, my bestie ordered. Say you sent it by mistake. Let him stew on it. I bet he won't stay calm. I did as she said. Jason's reply came in, calm as ever. Aren't you having dinner with Julia tonight? Julia was my bestie. She and I just stared at each other, both amazed that Jason really didn't play by any rules. We decided to play along and replied. Julia went home. His next message came almost instantly. Then I'll come pick you up. We can have dinner together. Okay, I typed back. My bestie rubbed her chin thoughtfully. You know, the genius is playing at a high level. Huh? He's not openly jealous, but he's already diffused the whole situation without saying a word. I thought about it, and she was right. So is he really clueless? Or just pretending? Not sure, my bestie said. We'll have to keep watching. After she left, I waited at the mall until 5, when Jason finally showed up. Unfortunately, the timing wasn't great. I was being hit on. Some guy chased me down asking for my number. I turned him down, but he wouldn't back off. Jason saw me talking to someone and, ever the polite gentleman, stopped a few steps away. I was annoyed. Wasn't this the perfect moment for a boyfriend to swoop in, throw an arm around me, and stake his claim? So I pointed at Jason and said, My boyfriend's here. That finally sent the guy packing. Jason came up to me as I turned away in mock irritation, giving him nothing but my elegant retreating back. At least he knew to follow, tugging gently at my sleeve. What's wrong? He asked, anxious. Your girlfriend just got hit on, and you stood there watching. What do you think's wrong? He paused, then spoke softly and carefully. Am I allowed? What? To call you my girlfriend? Why wouldn't you? I said, confused. I already am. He smiled in relief. Okay. We walked side by side for a while before he asked, What about jealousy? I caught on instantly. Allowed. And holding hands? He asked again. His tone was serious, but my thoughts went places they shouldn't. If he had to ask before doing everything, then what about? I cut off the thought and replied firmly. Allowed. Warm, dry, fingers closed around mine. Tight and sure. First time holding hands. He said quietly, I'm a bit nervous. If I mess anything up, forgive me. My heart skipped, and I couldn't help thinking, does he know what he's doing or not? After some training, Jason really did improve. He was still a little awkward in love, but overall, he was making progress. Everything was going smoothly, except that Larry got out of jail. Turns out his sugar mama affair had been exposed, and the woman had him locked up for 15 days. 15 days later, Larry was out, and the first thing he did was try to contact me. Jason didn't feel safe about it. To avoid Larry's harassment, I moved in with Jason. Forced cohabitation. That's when I learned Jason was actually Mrs. Anna's grandson. On his desk sat a framed photo of the two of them. When he saw my surprise, he said, I thought you knew. I only added you because of your grandma, I said. I honestly didn't remember. I only recalled Mrs. Anna mentioning she had an outstanding grandson. Jason smiled in understanding. Fair enough. You probably added a lot of people. That creeping guilt of mine returned full force. But this one wasn't really my fault. In high school and college, I'd been on the student council. Later, my job required me to add all sorts of clients, so when a new friend request popped up, I rarely refused. If it was for work, I kept it. If someone started talking nonsense, I deleted them right away. After years of that, my contacts list was still overflowing, which meant Jason's messages over those 7 years had been buried in the flood of unread texts. It wasn't that I ignored him on purpose. There were just too many messages. I circled back to the old topic. So your grandma told you to add me? I wanted to, he said. But grandma talked about you all the time, said a young woman often came by to keep her company. Always so kind and patient. She praised you like you were heaven sent. I couldn't help wanting to meet you. For once, I felt nervous. And after meeting me, were you disappointed? He shook his head. I just didn't expect you to be so beautiful. So you don't like me because I'm beautiful? I like you, and that's why you look beautiful to me. He smiled. But you really are beautiful. I felt something inside me crack. I'd always believed people liked me because I was pretty. But Jason wasn't like that. He liked my kindness. He went on listing all the little things I'd done for his grandma, thanking me sincerely for every one. I suddenly felt unworthy of that kind of genuine affection, because I wasn't really kind. I had my own motives. I used to visit my grandma a lot in middle school, he said, but somehow we never crossed paths. Later I heard you usually went home on weekends. I nodded. My dad remarried. My mum did too. Jason looked at me quietly. I decided to be honest. I'm not as good as you think. I lived alone in that house. Every time someone walked past the stairwell, I'd get scared. That's why I spent time with your grandma. Because while I was keeping her company, she was keeping me company too. On the surface, it looked like she needed me. But really, I needed to be needed. I was terrified she'd one day stop wanting me around too. After my parents remarried, they both had new families, new kids. I was just a ball being kicked back and forth. No matter how often I showed up with a smile, I couldn't earn even a scrap of love. In those raw teenage years, one question haunted me. Was I ever wanted at all? I didn't want to think that way. I tried hard not to, yet I couldn't help tormenting myself. Gradually, I grew to crave the feeling of being needed. As long as someone needed me, I'd do my best to be even better, to be the focus, to matter, to be indispensable. That gave me a sense of security. Why is that bad? Jason asked. You're already good enough. How much better can you be? It's just, I try to explain. I didn't help your grandma out of pure kindness. I'm not as good as you think. Somehow, I felt unworthy of Jason's pure affection. But he said, then if I started liking you because you helped my grandma, does that make my feelings impure? I was speechless. He pulled me into his arms, his warm hand resting on my head. There's no such thing as pure or impure. To me, you're the best there is. In that moment, I felt warmth I hadn't known in ages. Like a traveler lost in the desert, finally finding water. I wanted to stay in that embrace forever. That weekend, Jason took me to visit his grandma Anna. She still lived in the same narrow, old alleyway. Jason's family had tried to bring her to live with them, but she was too attached to her old home and refused to move no matter what. In the end, they hired a caregiver to look after her and came by often to visit. She was getting old, her memory fading, her eyesight weak. Yet when she saw her grandson, she still babbled with delight. She babbled at me too, then placed Jason's hand on mine. Watching that, I felt a rush of emotion. Leaving her house, Jason and I walked through the narrow alley. Maybe because it was full of memories, I suddenly felt like talking. I pointed to a shabby little room on the 3rd floor. I lived there all through middle school. There used to be a big tree out front. On windy nights, the branches would hit the window and wake me up. What happened after? I moved out. The year I started high school, my mum finally said I could live with her. I was so happy. I'd always wanted that. But turns out, living under someone else's roof was worse than living alone. You weren't happy there? Not at all, I said honestly. Once, my stepdad peeked at me while I was showering. I told my mum, and she said it was just an accident. She even defended him. After that, I barely went back. On weekends, I'd rather wander the streets than go home and pretend we were one big happy family. Jason's face tightened with restraint. That's when you started dating? Yeah. I don't really remember those guys now, but I remember how it felt. They liked me so much, and I wanted to know what it was like to be liked that much. Jason only asked, did it make you happy? To be honest, no. I tried to fill the emptiness inside me with relationships. But no matter how many I had, the emptiness stayed. But now, it felt like Jason was finally filling that void. I looked at him and asked seriously, "You've seen me date one guy after another, doesn't that make you jealous?" He held my hand, eyes clear and steady. "I don't care about your past. I just want to be your future." I thought, he really has his head on straight. And I silently thanked myself for saying yes that night, even if it was just to give it a try, like so many times before. But this time, I was grateful. Jason was different. He was so good that I could actually imagine forever with him. Monday came as usual. Near the end of the workday, Jason texted to say he couldn't pick me up. Something had come up. I replied, "Okay." Lately, Larry had gone quiet. I figured he'd given up. Jason still insisted on picking me up and dropping me off, just in case. But going home alone was perfectly safe. Larry hadn't shown up again, and I even stopped by the supermarket to buy groceries. I cooked 4 dishes and a soup, waiting for Jason to come home. But instead of him, I got a call from the hospital. A strange man's voice said urgently, "Jason's been hurt, ma'am, please, come to the hospital right away." When I arrived, I learned it was all because of Larry. Larry had found out Jason was my boyfriend, and that Jason was the one who told the rich woman about his cheating. Old grudges, new hatred. He came after Jason with his butterfly knife. Jason had been in a meeting and didn't see it coming. "How bad is it?" I asked. "Not sure," the man said. "He tried to block the knife with his hand, so it shouldn't be too serious. The guy's been taken by the police. Depending on Jason's medical report, they might keep him locked up longer." My mind was a mess. Guilt, regret, self-blame, all tangled together. How could I have ever dated someone like Larry? The wait outside the ER felt endless. Even as Jason's friend told me it wasn't my fault, I couldn't stop blaming myself. How could it not be my fault? My ex hurt someone. My boyfriend got hurt. It all circled back to me. "The wounds are treated," the doctor finally said, but the stab near his chest was deep. "We're keeping him under observation for 2 days." I nodded numbly. His friend went to handle the paperwork, pausing to tell Jason, "She feels awful. You'd better comfort her." Jason sat in a wheelchair, pale, his arm wrapped in a thick bandage, but still smiling softly at me. "I'm okay," he said gently. The calmer he was, the more I wanted to cry. My eyes scanned him like radar. One wound on his arm, another on his chest, a cut along his waist. "Does it hurt?" I asked. He shook his head. "No." I didn't believe him. "I hit him back," he said. "Kicked him to the ground. I was awesome. I was awesome." "Hey, don't cry," he blurted, panicked. I didn't want to cry, but I couldn't stop. Sniffling, I crouched beside his wheelchair and said quietly, "I'm sorry. It's all my fault." "How is it your fault?" Jason actually sounded serious. "You didn't tell him to stab me, and you couldn't have stopped him either. He's a lunatic. You can't blame yourself for what a lunatic does." But I couldn't listen. My thoughts were spinning out of control. Finally, Jason said, "Then blame me. I'm the useless one, getting hurt and making you worry." I rolled my eyes at him, half angry, half moved. "So don't blame yourself," he said. "If you need to blame someone, blame me." "Why are you so good to me?" I murmured. "Why shouldn't I be?" he said seriously. "You deserve every bit of good this world has to offer." Since Jason had to stay in the hospital, he needed some daily essentials. His friend Carlos drove me home to get them. I packed everything quickly and, before leaving, noticed the cold dishes still on the dining table. I reheated them in the microwave, packed them up, and brought them along. The air in the car was heavy. "Maybe to lighten it," Carlos joked. "If Jason finds out you're sitting in my passenger seat, he'll be jealous for sure." I frowned, confused. "He doesn't get jealous." "What? Of course he does." Carlos looked shocked. "He's the most jealous guy I know." I started to wonder if we were talking about the same Jason. The Jason I knew hadn't even cared when I dated one guy after another. Carlos continued. "Jason's got a file. It lists every one of your exes, their zodiac sign, blood type, even birth charts. He's analyzed all their strengths and weaknesses, comparing himself to each of them, like he's building a product analysis chart." I gaped. Carlos added, "Sometimes he even sends me screenshots asking, 'Where exactly am I worse than this guy?'" I could hardly believe it. Wasn't I the one who had to teach him how to be jealous? Carlos noticed my stunned face and blinked. You really didn't know? Damn, he's good at hiding it. Why would he hide it? I asked. Carlos immediately clammed up. Better ask him yourself. At the hospital. I looked at Jason with suspicion and doubt. Carlos, sensing danger, slipped away. Jason sat on the bed eating his late dinner, glancing up at me. What's wrong? Did Carlos say something? I decided to test him. Do you remember the guy we ran into at the Grand Hyatt? My ex. He nodded. He just messaged me. Said his dad's the hospital director and can help if we need anything. His dad's not the director, Jason blurted without thinking. How do you know that? I asked. He fell silent, playing dead again. I pressed on. You really have a file on all my exes? Silence. You actually know everything about each one. Still silence. No answer means yes. He coughed awkwardly, then shot back. Did Carlos tell you that? Why hide it? If it bothers you, you could have just said so. It's not that, he said. I just wanted to know what they had that I didn't. They had nothing on you. You're the best. He smiled, satisfied. Then why didn't you tell me you get jealous? I asked. He went quiet again. Is that such a hard question? After a long pause, he said. You dumped a guy once because he got too jealous. That's because he got jealous over nothing, Jason muttered. I get jealous over nothing too, then quickly added. But I can hold it in. I can pretend I'm not jealous. I couldn't help laughing. You don't have to. You're not like him. His eyes lit up, only for him to add softly. You also dumped a guy for checking your phone too much. You can check mine, I said, and one for being too clingy. You can be clingy, I said, looking at the cautious Jason. I finally understood why he'd kept it all hidden. He was afraid I'd leave him. Leaning against his shoulder, I said gently, You can do anything. I won't break up with you. As long as you still need me, I won't leave. Jason was quiet for a long time. Then his hand slid to my waist, holding tight. His warm voice brushed my ear. Do you know how jealous I was? Watching you date one guy after another. He buried his face against my neck, his voice low and rough. I was going crazy. The real Jason, unveiled, was almost too much for me to handle. Clingy in the hospital I could excuse. He was hurt, after all. But even after he recovered, he was just as clingy. Maybe worse. Sometimes I was shocked by how attached he was. Could someone really stick this close? Didn't he ever get tired? Apparently not. Jason proved that clinginess could be a full-time occupation. At home, out of the house. It didn't matter. One time I went shopping with my bestie, and he called immediately. He didn't outright ask when I'd be home, just whether he should cook dinner or come pick me up. I answered patiently, hung up, and got an earful of teasing from my bestie. She slung an arm around me, laughing. Looks like our gorgeous Isabel's finally fallen hard. It's not that bad, I protested weakly. She laughed even harder. You used to hate this. Anyone who ruined your shopping mood got blacklisted for a week. Jason's different, I argued. Oh yeah? How? She pressed. I couldn't explain it. I just knew he was different. Guess the genius really is a top-tier player, she sighed. Doesn't act for years. Then lands a perfect hit. Why'd he have to be named Jason, though? I laughed. You're impossible. That day, Jason still came to pick me up. Larry had been taken back to his hometown by his father. He probably wouldn't show up again, but Jason still insisted on driving me everywhere. As soon as we got home, he hugged me from behind and said, sounding pitiful, You only said 13 words to me today. I hadn't been counting, but it didn't sound right, he added. Phone calls don't count. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Then what should I do? Just kiss me 13 times, he said, already turning me to face him. The motion was forceful, but his eyes were pleading. I stared at his handsome face, hesitating where to start. Then he changed his mind. 13 might be too many. One's fine if you don't want to. The way he said it, so humble, went straight to my heart. I ended up planting random kisses all over his face, until I was laughing myself. Never thought you'd be this clingy. He'd always seemed so cool and composed. How did love turn him into this? If you don't like it, I can pretend not to be clingy, he said. I sighed. Just be clingy. Jason held me close, swaying gently as he whispered. I just feel insecure. All your exes got dumped for one reason or another. I'm scared I'll be next. You won't. I promised. I won't break up with you. I know, he said. but I still feel it." His voice was soft and defeated, and it broke me a little. I thought for a long while, then I said, "How about we get married?" I looked at him seriously. "Would that make you feel secure?" Jason froze, then nodded firmly. "Yes." The day we got our marriage license, the sky was bright and clear. It took less than an hour, and everything between us had changed. He held our 2 red booklets in his hands, staring at them even after we got into the car. I waited in the passenger seat until I finally couldn't stand it. "Honey, are we going or not?" He turned to me in shock, staring for a long moment, before his lips slowly curved upward. The smile spread across his whole face. Rubbing his cheeks as if to wake himself, he said, "Hang on, I need to post something." Then he looked at me, hesitant and shy. "Wife." The word sent a shiver down my spine. Jason snapped a photo and posted his very first social media update. The caption read, "To the top." "What does that mean?" I asked. Jason smiled. "It means we'll see better views together from now on." I felt like there was something deeper behind it, but couldn't figure it out. I let it be. His post blew up with likes and comments. He scrolled through them, grinning from ear to ear for half an hour. I was getting hungry and finally whined, "Honey, I'm starving. Let's go eat." "Okay." Jason reluctantly put away the red booklets and looked at me. "What do you want to eat?" "Anything's fine." After sitting parked for so long, the car finally started moving. The sunset painted the sky. The man beside me was perfect, and together we drove toward a brand new chapter of our lives.